The late afternoon sun poured down with an almost cruel intensity over Ouagadougou, its golden glare transforming the familiar streets into a stage of harsh light and shadow. Every crack in the dusty earth, every weathered stone in the crumbling city walls, and every furrow on the brows of the gathered crowd was revealed with merciless clarity. The heat hung heavily, thick as the lingering dust stirred up by the slow-moving feet of thousands. But beneath the weight of the relentless sun and suffocating air, there was an electricity, a tremor of expectation that carried the people onward. And the National Square, a vast open space framed by worn government buildings and the remnants of colonial architecture, a sea of faces had gathered, young and old, men and women all drawn by a gravity stronger than the heat or fatigue. Children, their bare feet scuffed and stained by dust, peered curiously from behind shoulders. Elders, their skin etched by decades of sun and hardship, leaned, on canes or clasped hands, eyes sharp and unblinking as they awaited the moment that would soon change the narrative whispered about their homeland for generations. Among them, the ordinary and extraordinary mingled in silent unity. A fisherman, a teacher, a farmer whose hands told stories of toil, and a student clutching a worn notebook bursting with dreams too large for these streets. Each heart pulsed with the same quiet urgency, bound by a shared hope that finally the voice of truth would ring clear. From the edge of the crowd, Captain Ibrahim Traoré approached, his steps steady, purposeful. The dust rose softly around, his boots with each measured stride, settling momentarily on the polished brass buttons of his uniform. Years of combat and duty had carved lines into his face and etched resilience into his posture. Yet his bearing was calm and composed, a man who had weathered storms, both seen and unseen. His dark eyes scanned the crowd, not with the detachment of a distant leader, but with the intimacy of one who carries the collective burdens of his people. In those eyes lay the weight of a continent's struggles, the echoes of famine, corruption, external exploitation, and a persistent shadow cast by foreign narratives that had long tried to define Africa, not by its strength, but by its weakness. Yet, there was something else too, something fiercely alive, a determination forged in the Sahel's relentless sun, a fierce pride born of soil and spirit. Ibrahim paused for a moment, allowing the hush to deepen, the heat to settle like a blanket that no one wished to shake off just yet. His voice did not rise in a roar, but it carried a power that filled the space between the people and the skies above. We are recording every lie you tell about Africa. The declaration, calm but resolute, rippled outward like a stone cast into still water, breaking years of silence. Behind him, the fading sun bled orange and crimson across the horizon, as if the sky itself bore witness to the moment. The crowd held its breath, eyes wide, hearts beating in unison with the rhythm of a truth long denied. Long before the square had filled with hopeful souls, Ibrahim had sat alone in the quiet of his modest home. The walls, painted a faded ochre, were adorned with photographs of comrades who had fallen, faces frozen in time but alive in memory. Among them was the faint smile of his father, a village elder whose wisdom had shaped Ibrahim's early years. The evening had been heavy with silence, broken only by the distant calls of street vendors packing up and the rustle of wind stirring the acacia trees outside. A single lamp cast a soft glow over the worn wooden table where a cracked watch lay, a keepsake from his father, its ticking a stubborn heartbeat against the stillness. In the solitude, Ibrahim wrestled with the weight of what tomorrow demanded. His mind traced the contours of his own story and that of his people. Memories surged. Days of hardship growing up under a scorching sun, nights spent listening to elders recount tales of both glory and grief, and the harsh realities of a land too often painted with broad strokes of despair by outsiders. He thought of the children, so many of them, barefoot, bright-eyed, full of a fierce joy despite their surroundings. Their laughter was a fragile melody, a beacon amid the dust and struggle. They deserved a world where their stories were not smothered by stereotypes, where their futures were not limited by lies told for profit and control. A soft knock at the door pulled Ibrahim from his reverie. Standing just beyond the threshold, was a young girl, no older than 10, clutching a tattered notebook filled with her sketches and stories of their village, the cracked wells, the dusty paths, the vibrant market days, and the quiet moments of hope beneath the baobab trees. Her eyes wide and cautious met his with a silent plea. In that instant, he felt the fragile weight of her dream settle on his shoulders. He nodded, offering a quiet promise to carry her story forward, beyond the cracked walls and dusty streets. The next day, as the sun rose slowly over the city, Ibrahim prepared for the speech that would become a turning point. Each step of his routine was deliberate, a symbol of the respect he held for the moment and for those who would listen. He adjusted the worn fabric of his uniform, polished the insignias that bore the marks of his service, and fastened the watch on his wrist, feeling its steady tick grounding him. The journey to the National Square was met with the swelling presence of thousands, their collective energy palpable. Murmurs rose and fell like tides, anticipation threading through the air. For many, this was more than a speech. It was a reclaiming of dignity, a challenge to the narratives that had long confined them. As Ibrahim ascended the stage, he felt the weight of countless eyes resting on him, eyes filled with hope, pain, resilience, and an unspoken question. Could this moment truly change everything? His voice when he spoke was steady and clear, weaving a tapestry of stories that unraveled the tightly wound fabric of falsehoods wrapped around Africa. He spoke of the fertile valleys, where farmers wielded ancient wisdom to coax life from barren land, of young women who led solar energy projects with ingenuity born of necessity, of communities rising in unison to challenge corruption and foreign exploitation. His words painted images of vibrancy and strength, shattering the tired myths of helplessness and failure. Yet midway through, his tone deepened. The truths he revealed were heavier: the global networks profiting from conflict, the foreign powers arming militias to keep the continent destabilized, the manipulation of markets and media to sustain dependency and division. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the crowd. Faces shifted, some with shock, others with painful recognition. "We are not the victims you paint us to be," he said quietly, but with razor-sharp clarity. "We are the witnesses. Every lie you tell, every deceit you spin, we are recording it. History will hold you accountable." The crowd erupted, tears shining on the cheeks of the elders, fists raised with fierce determination by youth. The young girl with the notebook lifted it high, a symbol of hope in the gathering dusk. In that moment, the speech became more than words. It ignited a movement, a collective reclaiming of narrative, dignity, and future. Ibrahim's voice faltered, only once, raw with the mingled pain of loss and hope entwined. "You see us as broken," he said, "but you do not see how we are becoming." As the sun dipped beyond the horizon, casting the city in amber and violet hues, the crowd dispersed with a fire burning bright in their hearts, an unquenchable flame of truth, resistance, and resilience. Ibrahim lingered a moment longer, the worn notebook cradled in his hands. His gaze sought the young girl's once more, and in that silent exchange was a vow. This was only the beginning. The lies would persist, but so would the truth, louder and stronger than ever before.